Welcome to the Investment Candle episode 9.
Hey.
I'm here wearing my bouquet, Jay-Z.
Yes, I'm jealous. It looks amazing. You look great, bro.
But what do you think? Do you think we're gonna beat England again?
I think we're gonna beat England again. We have too much to offer. I think the only downfall is complacency as a result of overconfidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Otherwise, if we're
Do you think we're gonna have the overconfidence facing England? I mean, England is a tough opponent. It's not like Fiji. Well, Fiji was a tough opponent too, but it's not like a weaker opponent though. This is a team that actually went to the last final.
It's true.
Against us. So I don't think we would relax like that.
We won't relax. And because we won't relax, I think we will win. But, it's with sports. It doesn't matter if it's rugby or football or anything. Anything can happen. They don't have to be a better team than you. They just have to be better than you on that day. So
fair enough.
I say that we have too much for them. On paper, we have too much for them. Too much firepower, and we must just be humble and play humble rugby, the one that we know how to play.
The most basic rugby.
Basic rugby, nothing fancy, and then we'll get it done. Yeah, you? How you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. And yeah, my name is Chifiwa, and I'm not rolling alone.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with Nico today.
Getting involved in the rugby so early on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we started the conversation offline. I guess it kind of makes sense why we just picked it up.
That's true. It's true.
Doesn't make sense. But I mean, what do you make of Kobe's charge, man? Like, how brilliant was that? Like I had to kind of research it. Is that illegal? What's going on, man? Like
Cheslin Kobe. We were saying offline, like some people were even. In fact, I'm gonna post my screensaver. My screensaver is Ches and Colby charging down Thomas Ramos conversion. Yeah. That was epic. If there's anything that actually that shows the South African fighting spirit, because you see Ches and Colby is not the biggest player in the world. Yeah. But man, he's hard, hey. To chase after the lost cause. Yeah. It's kind of like us chasing after the solution for ESCOM.
Yeah.
we need to get there. Chasing Colby, amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I hear
chasing after
lost cause solution for ESCOM.
Oh my word, eh? Yo. But now that was epic. The World Cup is awesome, man.
Yeah. Look, man, that game got me on the edge of my chair, man.
I couldn't breathe in the last 8 minutes.
Ooh, man. Look, I think for me, the game was just too much, man. Yeah. Like, I was sitting on the edge of the chair all the time. I remember at some point I wanted to cover the screen of the TV. You know that meme when you like watching the menu, So that was me watching the rugby, man. I don't usually watch rugby like that, but that day I was so invested, and then
it was epic. It was epic. I felt
that was some really great rugby. You know when you're watching football, right? Yes. And remember the game between Man City and Tottenham Spurs. I think it was a semi-final game on Champions League. The second leg. Yeah. Man, that was I got the same goosebumps, man. Like I was like, this is entertaining rugby.
Tense.
It was tense, man.
It was, and the quality was not lacking. The quality was two titans at the top of their game. But it's unfortunate that one had to lose, and it's unfortunate that the losing team was the host nation.
It's fortunate for us.
It's fortunate for us. I'm saying, but for the tournament, it's never nice seeing the host getting knocked out.
But it's hardly that a host wins, though. The World Cup. It's very hard for a host to win the World Cup.
We've won it in 95. We hosted it. Remember 95? Francois Pienaar.
Next to Nelson
Mandela, we hosted that, and then New Zealand won in 2011. Yeah, those are the two that actually hosted
and
won. But then I speak under heavy correction. But it was epic.
Then football. It's hard in football for a hosting team, for a hosting nation to actually win a World Cup.
France 98. Zinedine Zidane scored 2 headers.
Yeah, I remember that.
They hosted that. France hosted that.
But I'm saying it's hardly.
I think that's the most recent. The most recent home hosting nation winning. I think it's 1998. Yeah, it's 1998.
And there's been so many World Cups.
And there's been many. I mean, we have to go all the way to 1998. We're in 2023. Yeah, but now, man,
it makes sense.
It was a good sporting weekend.
And football, you lost, mate. I mean, we spoke about Sundowns and Pirates, and you sat here, mate, with so much confidence.
I did. Going into it, like again, I have the same feeling as I had with the Springboks. I'm like, Sundowns has just way more firepower than Orlando
They've got
Pirates.
way more to offer, but Pirates brought the game, man. Like we had Sundowns,
Okay,
like we really did.
But let's calm down. It's penalties. It was penalties. It was penalties. The penalties were shocking, by the way. It was from
Yeah,
Sundowns.
I mean, it's a lottery. Penalties are lottery mainly.
And you need to practice. It feels like it wasn't. I don't know. It felt like going into the week. I think it's always advisable for teams that are going into a final. Practice for the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
in a football sense, hey, practice those penalties. I remember just my last anecdote on this is Asamoah Gyan. 2010. It's very interesting.
That still breaks my heart, man.
It's very interesting.
That still breaks my heart.
He had an interview with ESPN of which he said that the day before that game, he took 20 penalties and he scored all 20. So I was just like, geez.
That was so sad, man. I remember, I think the most painful thing about that was Suarez celebrating when he's going down because he got a red card, right? When he was going back to the dressing rooms. When Asamoah Gyan missed the penalty and then Suarez was celebrating. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. I think if you look at it,
the whole African pride was just standing behind Ghana.
I think what makes the Suarez celebrations very frustrating was that handball stopped a sure goal. So it didn't have to go to the penalty. It didn't have to land on Asamoah Gyan's shoulders. But yes, he should have scored the penalty. But anyway, it should have been a goal. So I think that's what makes it the celebration. But man, it's sports, bro. Whether it's sports or the markets, it really does. It really, really does grab you.
We might as well just move on to the markets now because the man is just like, whether it's sports or the market, we might as well just go to the market.
It's hectic. Sometimes it can get the better of you. Hey, it really can, especially when positions when you just like, oh my goodness gracious me, it's going one direction. It's nice because then you can further expand. You can build up. You can buy some more. But my goodness me, if you currently have a position, I think it's painful. But let's discuss that.
Let's actually go into the portfolio check because I mean we might as well touch into that since it's quite sad.
Let's get straight into it. Naspers has had a free fall. Yeah, I think at the moment, without going too much because I just want to get through the portfolio. I think Naspers at the moment, I think they must arrest this free fall. I think that's it's providing confidence again.
Yeah.
After the debacle with the management change, they must arrest this. What I think is a bit of a spiral.
Yeah.
They must arrest it. I think that's the first thing for Mr. Evan to get a hold of this situation. Naspers is down 15.38%. That's the worst performer since last week. And then Anglo Platinum is actually on the road to recovery, surprisingly. They're down 13.43%. And then we get to Discovery. Discovery, they're down 10.12%, 10.12%. And then we get to British and American Tobacco. British and American Tobacco, a significant shareholder of British and American Tobacco is Renit. And Renit released is it half year or full year? I'll make sure. They are down 7.68%. And then we have Sasol. Sasol is going to feature in today's topic of geopolitics.
Okay.
They're down 2.09%. And then the only two greenies, green shoots that we have, and it's been like this for quite a while now, it's ShopRite. Interestingly, ShopRite have an AGM coming up. Is it next week or 2 weeks' time? Are you going to go?
I'm not sure.
You know, are you still a shareholder there?
Yeah. I actually added some more. But we will touch on that.
We'll touch on that now.
Yeah. I don't think I'll probably be traveling in the next 2 weeks. So I won't.
Mr. Travelist. The traveler. And then Capitec once again. It has gone down since the last episode, but it's still green at positive 7.17%.
Yeah,
that is our portfolio check for this week.
But anything you want to comment on the portfolio?
Without getting too much into it, because we're going to get into it when we speak about geopolitics. ShopRite, there's an AGM coming. I think it will be if you hold ShopRite shares,
Mm.
and if you're in the Western Cape, it's in Brackenfell, right?
Mm.
Yes.
It's on Brackenfell.
Yeah, attend. Interact with the board and hold them accountable. Sasol, we're going to speak about it because they big part of their business is oil,
Mm.
which we're going to touch on that.
Mm-hmm.
With Naspers, my only comment with Naspers is that Mr. Irvin too must get a grip of this company. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I think that's all. Any comments on your side?
No, I think maybe on Anglo Plat, right? There was a green hydrogen conference in Cape Town.
Yes.
Last week.
Okay.
So there was with conferences, there's always memorandum of understanding, like
MOUs,
MOUs, where people kind of sign deals, etc. It's like MOU is like an intent to get into a deal.
Yes, yeah. In principle, it's an agreement in principle.
Yeah. So BMW kind of signed an MOU with Anglo Plat to kind of supply all those things for the green hydrogen and stuff like that. So it's like I did say, I think in a couple of episodes ago, that green hydrogen is a technology for energy.
Yes.
Right. They're still trying to kind of use that in cars and all of that, right? But to produce green hydrogen, it's expensive. And there's a lot of energy that get lost in the process to produce green hydrogen, right? So it's still a very much expensive technology to do that. So that market to formalize will take a little bit more time. But however, I think my point to bring it home to kind of say that the green hydrogen kind of adds on the demand side of PGMs.
Yes.
Because they're going to use all those metals
100%.
into doing that.
Right,
so
yeah.
it's that's why you've seen some level of recovery. In the short term. But of course, there's still a lot to be kind of figured out into formalizing the green hydrogen market. I know Namibia has quite a big it's on the front of actually formalizing the green hydrogen market with a lot of European funds flowing in. The World Bank has even, I think, financed about 10 billion USD or something like that.
That's significant.
So you'll see things like that. But like I said, this is a market. This is a new market that is still has to be formalized in some shape or form. So it's gonna take a little bit of time.
It is. I think for me, what I would like a little bit more clarity on is quantifying the benefits. I see with the emotional side, very emotional subject, climate change and going green, which and it's understandably so.
Yeah.
If I would like an economic spin into it for people to actually get into the economics and putting down the investment cases and the economic case of why should this, because at the moment, as you say, the costs are very high, particularly for an emerging market, emerging economy, of which resources are squeezed. Now, for someone just to say that, listen, you need to find a way on how to open up your resources so that you can invest in this, show us an investment case and show us potential returns. And I think that will put us into good stead in us having a more educated discourse about climate, because at the moment, it's just my own opinion. I think the conversation it's clouded by emotions too much and not enough numbers and facts.
Yeah, I think totally agree. There's a couple of economics that needs to be put into better understanding how the green climate environment and market and economics is going to look like. But I think what is taking the front in this area is the energy side. The energy side seems to be formalizing more, especially from the power generation side. We've seen a lot of precedent in terms of economics and how to actually come about commercializing all these projects and stuff like that. I mean, wind, solar, hydro, whatever, those are technologies that kind of are environmentally friendly. And we've seen how the market like that kind of works. And also we've seen how that is being democratized, so not just sell to the national utility power, but also have bilateral contracts being concluded between two willing parties.
Yes, correct.
Without the intervention of the government and stuff like that. So
Correct.
I think that is fine. But like you said, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of political views
stuff,
around it. More especially in Europe and the US. You see a lot of protests, climate protesters,
you see a lot.
and stuff like that. So
and I think
I totally agree.
And I think in the African context as well, the political point of okay, how can I say this? Because this change is being led by people who are the cause of climate change. Okay, without going too much into names, people that are responsible for a lot of the emissions, those are now the people that are actually cracking the whip and saying that you must change. And I think like politically that's unpalatable as an African, as a South African, as a person that is trying to make their way in the emerging economy. Very, very difficult to take. So I would like that argument to be couched with a little bit of humility as well. I know like some of these words, I mean, I come straight from facts, but maybe there's also some space that we can have a bit of Africanness in that humility is a thing. We take humility seriously. Tell us, show us, don't shove it down our throats. Type of thing.
I think I'm clear on that too.
Yeah, no, I think
I'm clear. I'm with you on that. That you know, African continent as a whole is not the biggest emitter of carbon emissions, and it needs to be fair, right? But again, not to be too much political. When someone controls the capital, they're gonna dictate things, and that's what they do, right? Even when they say we're not going to finance oil and gas as energy, but we're going to finance renewable energy, it's because it's their capital. They can dictate where that capital is going to flow, you see. So that is the thing. But anyway, I think let's not be too political.
No,
we can jump into the next thing. I think
the last 3 episodes, bro.
We've been going in,
bro. You can tell that we're going to an election next year, bro. You can tell that these issues are hotting up. But yes,
no, but I mean, it's these issues. I mean, a business doesn't operate in silos, right? It navigates around regulation, political environment, social unrest, all those different things, right? So we need to discuss these issues and then bring them home as to how do they actually affect these businesses that we actually invest in.
I've got a question for you, and I think this can be quite illuminating for a lot of investors that have interacted with us. Thank you so much once again. Continue liking and subscribing. And making comments. There are some investors that we have that follow us that couldn't care less about politics. Is it possible for you to be an astute investor without, or rather, totally not taking politics into consideration? You're saying I'm not interested in politics, but I am interested in investing. Is that even possible? Is it a good thing?
Well, it's possible, but it's not a good thing.
Okay.
Right? I mean, politics, who gets to run the country? The politicians, right? Who gets to make the policies? The politicians. So if you don't care about what is happening in Parliament, for example, in terms of what bill is going to be passed, you'll wake up and you won't anticipate some of the regulations that are going to affect companies that are operating in the industries that regulation is going to regulate, you know. And when that happens, like for instance, the carbon taxes, when that was passed, right? Obviously, that kind of hits companies like BAT, for example, quite immediately, even. You know, so, and other companies as well that, you know, they have all those emissions and all the stuff like that. So it's, if you don't care about the political environment, you're most likely to miss the opportunities to when to exit in a company and when to enter in the company. And obviously, that's the whole point of investing. Enter at low, and exited high. Right? And you won't be able to time all those things if you don't factor that. True. Because the politics sometimes drives the market. You know, if there's politicians that are looting and do all those things, what happens to the economy? It suffers. We get load shedding.
It's true.
And what happens to load shedding? It increases the cost at Pick and Pay, for example.
We're gonna get into Pick and Pay.
So it's all these things that, you know, it's in varsity we used to have this thing called the Beetroot Spill.
Beetroot Spill.
Yeah.
What is that?
So the Beetroot Spill is like something that when it happens, it affects everything.
Okay.
So
I get it.
So if you're having a 7 colors,
the beetroot does damage, eh?
If you're having a 7 colors and then you put in a beetroot somewhere, right?
Yeah,
it's going to color everything.
Yes,
you see. So
is ESCOM that beetroot?
So yeah, but remember, it doesn't start at ESCOM.
Yeah.
It starts at politicians.
It's
Political
true.
interference at ESCOM is what costed.
I agree.
It was made what is happening now. So if you don't care about what's going on in politics, you're most likely to miss all those opportunities and actually factor that risk into your investment.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest miss.
Mate, I reckon if people will have fun with us, whenever we mention in any episode, if we mention ESCOM, if we mention Transnet, for every rand that you would earn,
we should have a jar here.
Right. In fact, I think that's very cool. Next episode, I'm gonna have a jar here.
Every time we mention ESCOM or Transnet.
And if we say we don't mean to get political,
yeah,
those are we don't mean to get political. ESCOM, Transnet, and let's see how much we can actually raise
in just 6 months. You'll see the jar is probably gonna be full. Because all those SOEs, they literally cover everything, man. Like they are a Beetroot Spill.
Beetroot Spill. Yeah, man. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, what's happening at Pick and Pay, man?
Pick and Pay. That's another one. We talk about Pick and Pay so much.
We did speak about the management changes last week.
Yeah, we did.
Pick and Pay came out with half-year results, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna lay in the facts. I don't know if you've got them there.
I do have them here, but you can go through them.
No, I mean, if you've got them there, instead of me trying to remember it on top of my head.
Here are the facts. Yeah. I'll just do them in point form, and then we're gonna get into them. Pick and Pay. Yes. So Pick and Pay shareholders, this is for you. Turnover, half year, 6 months. Turnover was 54 billion rand. It decreased by 5.4%.
Increased by 5.4%.
Did it increase by 5.4%?
Yeah. It was an increase of 5.4%.
Was an increase of 5.4%?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Sorry, yes. It was an increase by 5.4%. There was a decrease in gross margin, though.
Yes. From 18 point something
yes.
From 19 point something.
From 19 to 18.4. 18.45.
Yeah.
And then trading expenses increased by 13.7%. Load shedding had a lot to do with the trading expense increase of 13.7%.
But also they've got retrenchment expenses that
they also have employee restructuring costs.
So that's
which played into that. There are some positives as well, green shoots.
And of course, this one you're probably gonna mention it with a smile. That's why.
Online sales.
I knew it.
Online sales increased by 76%. Very, very healthy.
I mean, I guess it speaks to the partnership with Mr. D kind of.
It's absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
It's kind of pushing those sales up. But
no,
okay.
It is.
And then what is the profitability? Do you have the profitability?
I don't have the profitability.
Yeah, so they made a loss. Yeah, even their trading profit, which is like operating profit.
Yeah.
Which means it's profit before non-recurring expenses and some miscellaneous expenses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That also went down from, I think it's now to like 31 million from, I think the decrease was about 97 point something %.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
So you can imagine
that is profound.
The impact of
that is absolutely
what's happening.
Can you just repeat that again? Like, this is profitability. This is operating income, no?
Yeah, this is operating income.
You're saying that it decreased
by 97%.
By 97%.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious me.
Yeah, so it's quite sad. And if you compare the half year, they're not really directly comparable because ShopRite has junior end. Right? So their half year results include the December sales.
Oh,
so
yes.
you can't really compare.
You can't compare the two.
Between the two because now the half year results for Pick n Pay starts from March up until August.
So they exclude that November, December.
Yeah, so the November, December falls into second half of the year.
It's true.
So they're not really directly comparable, but ShopRite's half year results were just amazing. They were just amazing. I think one of the elements that I remember, they grew sales by 16%.
Yeah.
The group sales by 16%.
16.3%.
So you can imagine, you look at Pick n Pay, it's growing sales by 5.4%, right? And if you think about sales, right? Sales is made up of price times volume. Right? So that means we can almost be guaranteed that price increase because inflation was coming up, right?
Yes.
So they most likely increase the price. I mean, we've seen the prices of eggs, we've seen the prices of oil, we've seen the prices of all these things, right? That means they did kind of increase the price. So the only thing that was affected is volumes, which means they're selling less than they should. So now you ask yourself, is it a matter of fewer customers are walking into the store? Or is it a matter of they don't have the variety that they used to have?
It's worth mentioning, sorry to cut you. It's worth mentioning that it's not the entire business that actually that went down. Boxer went up by 16%.
Yes.
So what you're saying now excludes Boxer. And Pick n Pay clothing as well. It also went up by 13%.
But the numbers that we mentioned, the total sales.
Yeah. Oh, it includes.
Yeah, the total sale includes that.
Correct.
And that's what I've been saying, that the cash cow for Pick n Pay has always been Boxer. And that's what I said, that I would be happy if they were focusing on growing that business, right? Because Pick n Pay, it seems to be, they're all over the show. Because even Simmons mentioned that when he walks into a Pick n Pay store,
Sean Summers,
when he went to a Pick n Pay store as a shopper, he feels like Pick n Pay doesn't have that variety that it used to offer, right? He feels the store doesn't invite the customer and gives the customer the experience, right? And
he's right.
That's why he said that they've got a strategy of kind of revamping the stores. I think one of them is called Quali Save or something like that, right? Kind of revamp the experience and all of those things. So he's like, the strategy to do that has not been working. So he wants to investigate whether it's a bad strategy or whether it's a good strategy that was purely executed.
Sure.
You know, which I would like to know the answers to that.
I would also like to know the answer.
So it's all these things that have kind of culminated to the losses that we've been seeing at Capitec. I mean, their boardroom as well is in kind of a shambles because they fired their CEO with effective immediate.
You mean Pick n Pay, not Capitec?
Pick n Pay, sorry, yes. So it's quite interesting to kind of see what is happening. But like I said, man,
you know what I would love? I would love for any one of our investors who hold shares in Pick n Pay to actually reach out to us. And I don't hold shares in Pick n Pay.
No, I don't.
But I would really invite one of our investors who hold shares in Pick n Pay just to tell us a little bit about what the experience is like, because I can imagine it's not nice. You're always in a state of what's going on with the management,
what's going to happen, and all those things.
What you're saying is a damning assessment, which is true in that we saw the increase of prices due to price inflation. It clearly is the volumes. it's clearly is there's no running away from it. We had a conversation offline in that this is who you are when you look at stuff in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Sean Summers
has got a lot to figure out in the business.
It's got a lot to figure out. I just hope that they gave him enough time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the strategy now, given his age, again, no ageism. I think the strategy, given his age, right?
Yeah.
I think he's more of a transitional CEO than a long-term CEO.
What's the difference between the two?
So the transitional one is just to take the business from the muddy play to kind of to a better, stable place, right? Whereas the long-term CEO is just there. He'll leave when he feels it's time to move on.
Or he or she.
Yeah, he or she will move on when it's time to move on, right? So I think that's why they called a previous guy to just come and help us.
Yeah.
It's just that come and help us get out of this place that we're in, right? It's not, I don't think they're thinking Sean Simons is going to be there for the next 15 years.
No, it's true. It's true.
And he's not going to be there for the next 15 years.
Hey, I don't want to go that direction he's going. Yeah, but I mean, you do get those people that are they specialize in turnarounds.
Yes.
And those people that specialize in actually taking it and taking it forward. I think what's also interesting, I remember in varsity I used to read Fin Week. About there was this one issue about CEOs that overstay the welcome. And I think knowing the difference between the two, whether this person is a turnaround specialist, this person here is actually
an operator.
An operator. It's very, very important to outline it in the very beginning. And I think it's important for shareholders as well to understand the people that they're voting in. What is this person meant to do? And then after they've done that, it's okay to say that, thank you so much. Here is your bonus. Next person.
Yeah, but so what's your view? Is it buy, hold, sell for Pick n Pay?
For Pick n Pay, at the moment, hold. And the reason why I say hold is to give Sean Summers an opportunity to actually to suss out the investigation on whether was it a bad strategy or was it a good strategy executed badly. There's so much room in South Africa's retail space.
Yeah.
There's still room. You still have great assets as far as Boxer is concerned, Pick n Pay clothing, their online sales as well. There's potential there. There's still something in there. I would say hold. Saying sell, I think you're just running to the heels too quickly. Yeah.
Okay. I think that makes sense. So I think there's a funny thing that one of my colleagues used to say, that when you read financial statements or you read presentations from management, you hear them telling you, we grew market share. Yeah. Everyone in the industry is growing market share. So who's losing this market share?
That's actually
so
good.
Who's losing this market share?
Yeah.
You know?
Must be aware when you're reading these things. Like, okay, someone, who's losing?
Yeah. So, logic. But I think for me, I would put it at buy.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah. So I'd say buy. I mean, those are fundamental issues, but they are not unsolvable.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I know I always say that it's very difficult to turn around a retailer, but the caveat for Pick n Pay is they've got a successful lower end business.
Correct.
Which is Boxer. Right. And for me, that is why I would invest in Pick n Pay.
Because of Boxer.
Right. So for me, it's buy.
And the clothing business?
The clothing business is doing well as well.
Yeah. I think
it's just the Pick n Pay brand itself that it's a loss-making business, and given that it's majority of the Pick n Pay group, of course,
yes,
it kind of has a pulling down effect to kind of pull down the profits, margins, and all the likes. But I think it's solvable, man.
It is.
It's solvable. These issues are solvable. So if you're thinking of investing at Pick n Pay, you've got the green light from me.
we dealt with this issue. I think it's episode 1 or episode 2 about the fundamentals whether they're solvable, whether they're in the control of management, and whether they're not in the control of management. And I think I concur that everything here was man-made. There was nothing existential. The existential stuff, that's when just like, we're going to get into the existential stuff now. But what the story of Pick n Pay is that it was man-made and it will be man-made again.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense. I mean, we might as well just delve into the existential stuff.
Sure. Let's deal with it.
What is it that you want to talk about this existential stuff?
So let me just give you some context. One person, in fact, asked me about the current geopolitical tensions that we're seeing in the Middle East, and asked how should they...
sorry to cut you.
Yeah.
Like, it pains me, or I feel a little bit scared because I'm flying through the Middle East.
No, I think you'll be safe, bro. I think you'll be safe.
So I'm just like, ish, man.
I think you'll be safe, bro. Traveling mercies. We'll pray for you.
But yeah.
So he was asking as well. Very smart character. Homalim, I actually work with him. Shout out, bro. So asked me how he can shape his portfolio to withstand the geopolitical uncertainties. He was specifically referring to the tensions that we're seeing at the moment in the Middle East. But that's not the only geopolitical tensions that we're seeing. We've been seeing we've been seeing a lot of it in Eastern Europe. And now we're seeing a hectic flare up in the Middle East at the moment. And that's basically what I wanted to discuss, because it's topic of conversation at the moment. It's a red hot issue, very political, very highly emotional, but I would like us to actually look at this thing with our investment caps on, not with political because we're going to get a bit into trouble. But the thing was, how do those geopolitical issues affect? And I'd like to ask you, how do they affect your portfolio? How does it affect our portfolio? And how can we better shape our portfolio to be resilient against such?
Okay. I think one of the things that actually happened, if you remember, in the conflict or the war between Russia and Ukraine, for example, right? Yeah. There was a lot of companies that were pulling out of Russia.
Correct.
And kind of discontinuing their operations in Russia and the likes, right? So first, that is a direct impact.
That's the first direct impact.
Right? So if I remember, there was a company, it's a paper business. Is it Mondi? Yeah. Mondi as well.
Barloworld as well.
Yeah. So Mondi had a very significant operations in Russia. And that kind of took a very big hit.
We'll show the graph here of Mondi's share price. Yeah.
So that kind of took a very big hit because a significant portion of the business was kind of let go.
Yeah.
Right. So, or was impacted. So obviously that's the first thing you look at.
Yeah.
Does my business have operations
in that
region? In that region? Yeah. So for example, we're talking about the conflict or the war between the Palestine and Israel.
Yeah.
Does my business have operations in Palestine and Israel? So, but also, you can't foresee these things, unfortunately. These are things that are unprecedented. You can't forecast war. Nobody was able to forecast COVID-19.
No one.
That, there's going to be lockdowns and all these things. No, right? It just kind of happens. So with events like this, so the very first thing would be, okay, my operations, does the company have operations in there? Then you go back to the products that they offer.
Yes.
Right? What is it that they offer? For example, between Russia and Ukraine, right? There's oil things that happens, right?
Yes.
So does my business or the company that I'm invested in, is it directly impacted by the oil prices?
100%.
Directly, I mean, right? By the oil prices and the supply and demand of oil.
Yeah.
Because obviously when Russia is one of the biggest, if not the biggest producer of oil, right? Correct. So if the supply is interrupted, obviously there's going to be a shortage of supply.
Yeah.
And obviously price kind of increase.
Correct.
That's the ecos. If I still remember my
No,
economics right.
That's correct. That's ecos
so
101.
When such things happen, you kind of analyze, okay, what is my product directly affected by this? Okay, cool. If not, then you go to the indirect side now, right? When there's an increase in the oil price, obviously the oil is kind of an input to so many things, right? And also energy, things like that, right? Price of electricity, price of petrol, diesel, whatever. So all those things kind of get affected, right? I'm just making an example with oil. So you kind of analyze it from that angle, right? And then from there, then you make a decision whether or not you think if you hold a stock in the company, you decide whether or not this actually makes it impossible for the business to acquire any further growth.
Sure.
Right. And also it boils down to the confidence in the management to be resilient to issues that are existential to the company.
100%.
Right. So for example, again, for me, ShopRite, right? If anything had to happen that is outside of management's control, I have confidence in the management to kind of caveat that and find solutions around it.
Yeah.
Because I do have confidence in the management.
Yeah.
But you have to ask yourself, do I have confidence in this management to actually carry out that task, right? And also think about what are some of the immediate impacts that have happened in the business, right? Yeah. Because that can give you an indication of the ability of the business to absorb such pressure.
Yeah, it's true. Resilience. Right? Yeah.
So in a short form, that's kind of what my analysis thoughts would be.
I think you and I share the same mindset when it comes to geopolitical tensions. I want to draw your attention to a company that has significant operations in an area which people would judge as uncertain or rather volatile. MTN. MTN, for a long time, they had significant
issues
operations
with Nigeria.
Not just Nigeria, particularly the Middle East, Syria. Big business in Syria. But yet they've managed to turn a profit. They've managed to do business in. So we're not saying that just because they're political, just because they are geopolitical uncertainties, immediately some companies do pull out. Yeah. Some companies, as you said, they learn to roll with the punches. And that is a sign of a good company. And I think more companies such as that have been doing business in hostile environments, but yet are still turning a profit, are still doing good business. I think those are some of the businesses that you want in your portfolio. Because as you said, geopolitical stuff, you can't forecast it. But what you can do is ensure that your management is able to withstand whatever. Yeah, okay, cool. So Syria, another one, Nigeria. Okay, that was a debacle. and it's
one of the world's biggest fine that came out of.
That was a debacle. But doing big business within the African continent, it's unfortunately because we are It's unfortunate because we are Africans. Again, it's not without risk. So you need companies that can roll with the punches there. And MTN is not the only one. I mean, look at MultiChoice in Nigeria; they were nailed with the heavy fine.
Yeah, but they got out of. I think they got out of Malawi. MultiChoice.
Did they get out of Malawi?
Yeah, I think. I speak under heavy correction, but I think they got out of Malawi. The government was like, pay up or.
Go. Go.
And then my teacher was like, "Oh, okay, bye."
Yeah, mate. I think going back to the Russian invasion into the Ukraine, as well as the flare up in Israel and Gaza, the Gaza region. Yeah, it's good for you in your portfolio. This is what I would say to anyone. This is this philosophy that I have. Having a well-balanced portfolio, not only by the type of businesses, but the location of the businesses. Having that sort of diversity within your portfolio is very, very important. It's because of things like this. If most of your business was being done in Eastern Europe, that's a big problem. if most of your business was done in the Middle East, then that's a big problem. But having a healthy mix of businesses that are spread out around the country, not only for the rand hedge, but also for the individual other currency hedges. I think that's absolutely fantastic. In that whenever things like this happen, it hurts, but your portfolio can have a bit of resilience.
Do you know any business that actually is listed and has operations in Gaza and
in
Israel?
In South Africa, I know Woolies has a big relationship as far as some of their suppliers.
Oh, okay.
They are in Israel.
Okay.
So that's also very important because big suppliers are a big part of your supply chain, your value chain, right? So that also has a bit of an effect. I can't think of any other business any South African listed business that has big operations in Israel.
Yeah, in all of the companies that I'm invested in, I don't.
None, eh?
I don't think they do.
But I know in Russia.
But obviously, from the supply side, I mean, they don't disclose a lot about it to say, yeah, this is our suppliers, etc., etc. Obviously, that's kind of confidential information. But I don't think there's just from an operations perspective. None of them have that.
Yeah. I know in Russia and the Ukraine, Barloworld had operations in Ukraine and in Russia.
Yeah, a lot of companies have operations in
used to in both, and I think that's really really hectic now because like you're getting it from both sides. Mondi, you're right. I remember.
I mean, more especially if you're a miner, your exports are going to Europe or Asia. That's pretty much it.
But there are positives as well. They're okay. When I say that they're positives, I'm talking about you as a shareholder. For example, we saw the price of coal absolutely skyrocket. We saw Thungela. We saw Exxaro. What they were digging up and exporting. The price of that because of the tensions, because of the uncertainty, and because of the prices of coal and oil going into Europe, that chain stopped, and whatever we were selling, all of a sudden the demand increased. Thungela shareholders made so much money. I wish I was a Thungela shareholder during that time.
I actually just added some more Thungela.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like I think I did mention this, that Thungela for me is not
it's a dividend
capital play. Yeah, it's not a capital gains thing. It's a dividend play. You get addicted to dividends, so
it's a good thing. Cash flow is nice. Cash flow is nice.
So I was like, well, I wouldn't mind with a 40 rand another dividend payout
before after tax, because SARS is gonna have
yeah, of course it's gross. It's gross. But I mean the dividend tax is not that much. It's 20%.
It's 20%,
as opposed to like your income tax. It's a lot.
That's too much.
So
yeah. But so what would you be your takeaway with the geopolitical tensions? I think with mine, before we get to yours, having a well-balanced, well-diversified portfolio is very, very important. And having confidence in in the management, as you said, is also very important. And then my last takeaway, which I think it's a very important one, in that geopolitical tensions, as much as how, by and large, it's a negative, because normally there's fighting, but there's also opportunity.
Yeah.
So don't close your eyes and say, I'm only gonna open them once it's done. You need to keep your eyes open, because wherever there's crises, there's definitely opportunities.
No, I think I concur with that. I mean, you already summarized all of my points that I had.
Sorry, Riggs.
So I think that there's really nothing I can add to that. But maybe just to expand your points, yes, I think it's quite important to diversify, and I think generally your portfolio, because you're investing in South African market, unless you've got aspirations to invest in the Nasdaq and
New York Stock Exchange, London Stock Exchange.
But if you're investing in South African equities, you most likely the company's operations are going to be majority South African, right? Correct. Except for mining, because I mean a lot of it gets exported.
Correct.
Because that's where the big demand is at, and a lot of finished products kind of done, get done overseas as opposed to here. So, but overall, I think if you're getting invested in South African equities, listed equities, you're most likely going to be exposed to South African market. So, and there's obviously some few outliers like MTN, and the last that have big operations outside of South Africa per se. So, but definitely, if you're going to invest in a company, you have to be comfortable with the markets that they operate in, and you have to be comfortable with obviously, if they're entering into new markets, you have to have the confidence in the management to kind of turn that business around. We've seen with Spar, right, that they went to Poland. And they were unable to turn that business to profitability. It was just taking too long to break even. So, and also I just think even the renegotiations of retailers that side, contracts with retailers that side, it probably didn't go well because of the strategies that they were doing. I mean, all other markets, Spar doesn't have what we call minimum loyalty requirements. But in Poland, they wanted to enforce that. So that kind of doesn't make sense. Even me as a retailer that is based in Poland, and I say, your operations is 60% plus in South Africa, but in South Africa, you don't have a minimum retailer requirement. Better yet, you want to come here in Europe and tell me I must buy from you for a minimum of 60.
It's a bit arrogant.
Doesn't make sense. And more especially because you're trying to break into Poland market. So it didn't make sense. For me, I've thought that is not a good way to kind of expand into that. Like, allow the same thing that is happening, be consistent through across, right? That makes sense to me. But like I said, it's just about the confidence in the management. It would have been a really nice profits for us shareholders if they were able to kind of turn Poland business around and make it profitable. Because I mean, if you're making money in euros, my dividend is gonna be based in euros, and I'm gonna be rich.
I like that, bro.
I'm gonna be rich.
No, I like.
But anyway, I think to close this episode, we can chat for a while. Man. I think maybe I've spoken about 2 companies that I've added. What have you added? What are you thinking about buying? What's your buy list? What are you looking at?
I think my buy list at the moment is retail, because we're getting into that season.
Okay,
we're getting into that wonderful season that November, December.
And we've got Black Friday coming up as well.
Black Friday coming up, which is always awesome, particularly if you're a retailer. So it's either going to be based on just to show the investors that we put our money where our mouth is. Based on today's conversation, I'm looking at Pick n Pay.
Okay.
I'm looking at Pick n Pay.
Okay.
With a new CEO, new broom sweeps clean. Going into this period. And of also coming from a low base, I think the combination is quite nice for a recovery. So as a result, I think in the next one, I might have added Pick n Pay, or if not, because the budget is coming up, I think that's going to be our main topic.
Definitely.
Pick n Pay,
Nah, it makes sense.
You?
I think I've added already. I've added Thungela.
Yes.
Some
Dividends.
more Thungela for dividends. And then I've added ShopRite.
You added more ShopRite.
I've added more ShopRite. Okay. I think that's about it. But there's a couple that I'm kind of looking at to see what happens. I'm still bullish about implants, for example. I'm a patient investor.
No, it's always good. We live and die by these things, bro. That investment is gonna expose how smart you are, or how not smart you are. Yes, but I mean, I'm a Sibanye Stillwater shareholder, so I'm in the same boat.
You're in the same boat. Okay, at least. But other than that, what are the plans, man?
Watch the Springboks win the World Cup. Other than that, I'm reading. I'm going to be attending a few AGMs. It's AGM time. In 2 weeks, it's ShopRite. I don't own any ShopRite shares, so if any ShopRite shareholder, attend. Let us know how it went. I'm going to the Remgrow AGM, which is nice. I know some of the folks there. It's going to be nice to see them. But yeah, that's me. You? Traveling other than traveling to other countries? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the next 2 weeks are gonna be kind of travels a little bit, and then but I'm definitely gonna watch the rugby today.
Okay.
And I'm definitely gonna watch
it is football as well.
Football with Chelsea. I have a little bit of faith on Chelsea to kind of cause an upset.
No, it's not happening.
To kind of cause an upset, and then we'll see it from them. And like menu, I don't even want to talk about menu because I have lost hope on menu.
Oh my gosh!
You know when they say it's the hope that kills you?
I'm enjoying it so much, bro. Like your heartbreak when it comes to menu. Sorry, Man United fans. Like I'm enjoying this period.
No, man, I've lost so much faith on menu. I have a colleague that every single season he just comes like, I don't want to talk about football. He's a menu fan. Like, I don't want to talk about football. And then I just like, I get you.
This other guy,
I get you.
My one colleague is also a Man United supporter.
Yeah.
So he says that what is this? He says if you are not with us when we are losing, then you don't deserve to be with us when we lose again. No, but thank you for that.
Okay, thanks, man. I think we've spoken a lot about sports in this episode. But it's a season for it, right? I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Springbok, we really hope by the next time we record, we would have lifted the World Cup.
Yes, definitely. Cheers, Glenn Colby.
Cheers.
Cheers, Glenn Colby.